To win this election, Barack Obama's like a bride-to-be. He needs something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Well, look at these new registration figures in today's Washington Post. Something old. In Florida, newly registered Democrats outnumbered newly registered Republicans 2-1. Something new. In Colorado, it's a 4-1 advantage for Democrats. Something borrowed. In North Carolina, it's nearly a 6-1 advantage for Democrats, and something blue in Pennsylvania. That's a blue state. Nearly 500,000 new Democrats on the rolls, while Republicans, catch this, it's the only state this has happened. Republicans have lost 38,000 registered voters in the state of Pennsylvania. What's it all mean? NBC political director Chuck Todd joins us from Nashville, the site of tomorrow night's debate. And Jennifer Downey is with us from the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. Both of you, thanks for joining us, Chuck and Jennifer. First, Chuck, this question of the numbers. It seems to me that there's two arguments made in this campaign. One is first African-American candidate, a lot of dispute about what that means among older white voters, and yet all these new voters we keep hearing about. How do you measure one against the other, the more conservative feelings among older voters and this flash of new registrants?
Well, we only can measure what we've seen. And what did we see? Think back to Iowa, Chris, and how Barack Obama actually remade the electorate. He was on a trajectory that said he couldn't win older white voters, the whole conversation that we're having now a little bit. And what did he do? He changed the electorate. He turned out 100,000 more Democrats than anybody thought could be turned out. The estimates had, the highest had been 125,000. He turned it into 240,000, and he wins by 10 points. I think that's what we're seeing. This is part one of this strategy that the Obama campaign had always promised in the back rooms with Democrats in D.C., which is, yes, there might be some trouble in the northern tier. There might be some trouble with older white voters in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. But here's how Obama overcomes it. He puts new states in play. Virginia, North Carolina. They'll see an African-American turnout and a youth turnout that nobody's ever seen before. Well, so far, part one has happened, and that is the voter registration numbers. He may have changed the electorate, changed what it looks like in Virginia. It isn't what it looked like 4 years ago. It's going to look different. And if that's the case, that's the difference between winning and losing if he sees a 20% new voter spike.
Jennifer, do the same thing. Put that up against each other, the resistance of older voters and the explosion of new, younger voters.
Well, it's clear that Chuck is absolutely right, that a lot of toss-up and even Republican states are seeing serious increase among Democratic voters. Young voters are lining up in droves to register. I've seen that at voter registrations at Harvard and at St. Anselm. There's no doubt about that. What we do not know yet, though, compared to the Iowa analogy, is how Republicans and independents will vote on Obama. And that does leave a question mark in the middle of the whole equation, which is that will people actually go and vote? It is different to register than to actually do the act of voting. So while the numbers are very, very intense and persuasive, we don't know if that will mean that there'll be this mass voting for Obama.
We'll have some numbers, by the way, coming out of the new NBC poll out tonight on our second edition at 7 o'clock, courtesy of Chuck. We'll have some new numbers about very interesting numbers about independents and how they're moving right now. It wouldn't surprise you. By the way, Chuck's team has a new electoral map out today. All the changes are for Obama, no change for McCain. Here's what it looked like for Obama a week ago. And here's what it looks like now. So you want to give us a narration of that a bit, Chuck? What's changed?
Well, what's changed is we've seen as the economy and this double stomach punch for McCain, right, which was basically losing the debates to Obama even through public perception. Other people scored it how they want to score it. The public made a decision that Obama and Biden won the first two debates. Combine that with the economic downturn, the right track just cratering, wrong track going way up again, economic issues to the forefront, and we're seeing all of these carry 04 states. There is not a single carry 04 state where Obama trails. More importantly, there's not a single carry 04 state where Obama's lead is anything less than 5 points. I mean, really, only Pennsylvania of those carry blue states seems remotely competitive right now. Anything can happen in 29 days. But right now, only Pennsylvania seems remotely competitive.
Well, run through that. I recently heard that the Republican plan was they knew they couldn't get Iowa, but they're hoping to pick up from the old map of 2004, New Hampshire, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in that order. Jennifer, is that still reasonable? Looking at it from your end, New Hampshire, is that 3 points electoral vote still available to them? They're giving up on Michigan. Are they aiming now at Pennsylvania and New Hampshire and holding Florida and Ohio?
That's a really good question. I mean, we had a poll done by St. Anselm that showed Obama up by 12 just a few days ago, and we're seeing extreme volatility, including Democrats who were just elected 2 years ago now having to fight for their seats. If you have a chair in Washington, you're in huge trouble. That's the bottom line. But these debates are really not shedding a lot of light on the issues. I walk around New Hampshire and I hear voters saying, you know, I am so sick of hearing about these two guys' baggage. I want to know what it means to me financially. I think John McCain has one chance of turning this thing around. He should have voted against the bill, probably, and said, we haven't had 1 minute of hearings in committee on the biggest government bailout of the economy that we've ever had. We haven't had 1 minute of hearings. He should say that. He also needs to stay on the Republican message of tax cuts. That's how Bush did this in 2000. All he talked about was tax cuts. I went to a Sununu Shaheen debate at St. Anselm today, and I'll tell you what, most of what John Sununu talked about was tax cuts. That's a message Republicans could still win on, although their odds are really, really uphill right now.
Well, this just in, guys. 50% of voters say Obama and Biden did better in the two debates. That's the NBC Wall Street Journal poll out tonight. 29% say McCain-Palin. Chuck, your thoughts on why it's so lopsided? Why is it 50-29? You only have about 10 seconds here.
I just think that voters are grading McCain and Palin on a curve. They're making them have to do more somersaults to prove that they're going to be changed, that they're going to change things. Obama and Biden are getting the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, thank you very much, Chuck. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. Jennifer Donahue.
Pleasure.